from your loved ones on the other side a little bit more easily. Sometimes this gets a little bit tricky. We don't always understand when our loved ones are here trying to communicate with us. So there are a few key things that you could do to open up and hear them a little bit easier. First of all, you need to sort of calm down and put your anxieties away about not being able to hear them. You want to focus more on your ability to hear them clearly and less on the fact that we have a little bit of extra space between us, okay, and them on the other side. That can deter it. So one of the first things that happens when a spirit tries to come through and give you a message is that your ears may ring. So if you're getting a ringing on the left side, that typically means that a spirit is trying to communicate with you. Sometimes we get a weird ringing in our ears on the right side, and that can mean that your psychic ability is kicking in, that your third eye or your higher intuition is trying to also give you a message. So don't rule yourself out of the equation at any time. Now, what do you do if your ears are ringing? You should really stop and take a minute to listen to whatever information is there. And this is where people start to get confused and they say, well, how exactly do you do that? It's not complicated. It's sort of like meditation. It's going over to the right side of your brain and listening. Now, all of our intuitive abilities are on the right side of the brain and in different brain waves. So what you would want to do is just relax and let your mind daydream and drift off a little bit. When you do that, you'll start to see images, maybe you'll see symbols, you'll hear words, or you'll feel things. And that would be where the message lies. You can also talk to your loved ones more. That helps a whole lot. So if you're communicating with them all the time and asking them to come through and give you signs and symbols that they're around, they'll do that more frequently. When they do it, do not negate them. The more you talk with them and the more that you accept the things that they're giving to you in communication, the more often they will come around. I just want to say this before we move on to questions. Also, when spirit is communicating with you, one of the things that happens commonly is that a lot of symbols will come through and people don't really understand what to do with that symbology. So understand that they're communicating the best that they can. What you may want to do is get a dream book or look up Native American symbology, Carl Jung, anything that you can look at that refers back to ancient archetypes can also help a lot. So every symbol is a message, even if it seems a little bit odd. So what we're going to be doing here tonight, this is the Ask a Medium show. And what I'm going to be doing is taking interactive questions from you guys, or you can feel free to type them on in about psychic, mediumship, paranormal, lost objects, anything that you want to know about, and I'll be taking those questions and answering them. So the first one that I want to get to is from Nick Paleo from Buffalo, who wants to know, what was my first paranormal experience and did I grow up in a haunted house? I would say that I absolutely grew up in a haunted house. I feel like I grew up in many, many haunted houses. The thing is with that, I don't really believe with someone who's a sensitive like I am, I don't really believe that it's the house that's typically haunted. It's kind of the person that's haunted. So I feel like wherever I went, I was being followed by spirit. That's increased over the years. So I believe with everybody, it gets more so, not less so. And so that's something that's always been there with me since I was a small child. I remember seeing things. I remember also being able to communicate with them, and I understood that there was interaction going on. Sometimes it was uncomfortable, but mostly the interaction was positive and it was helping me along. So that helped me to open up to it even more, which does increase the ability. My first paranormal experience, I don't really know that it was all that paranormal. My great-grandmother had a stroke and she was in a hospital bed for over 25 years. She was unable to move. She couldn't communicate. She couldn't feed herself. She couldn't do anything that entire time for over 25 years. She had a little bit of mobility in her left arm. So I spent the first 6 years of my life being around her, communicating with her telepathically. So whenever she needed something or she was trying to tell me a story or interact with me, it all came through telepathy. So I grew up in infirmaries and places like this. And so my first paranormal experience, I would say, would be that. And what ended up happening was that I became able to communicate telepathically with other people in the hospital and then people out on the streets. And from there, it just sort of grew. So, yeah. All right, Nick, thank you for your question. I also have a question here from Lee, also in Buffalo. Lee wants to know, when will I get a job? He says he's been laid off and it's really holding up his life. Hold on a minute here. Okay. I feel like what's really going on with this, Lee, is that you were supposed to leave where you were prior to the time that you actually got the layoff. And so when I'm looking back at your past over the last 3 years, it would appear that there were 2 other instances where you were laid off. I think one was from a different job, and then it feels like one was from the job that you were currently laid off from. During that time, I really feel like Spirit was trying to motivate you to go into another line of work. And I feel like you were postponing that. And so it feels to me like what you're really supposed to be doing is looking a little bit more into additional training or education. And I feel like you're in the right space as far as the city is concerned. It feels like you have other options coming up to you, but I almost want to say that it's going to require some blind leaps of faith. So if you're actively pursuing what it is that you really need to be doing with your training and education, I feel like the jobs will come, but it feels like if you were to pull back out of that they could go stagnant again. So it's almost like you're going through a testing phase. And I think that you can have both. And I just want to say, do that boldly and do that with confidence. It does look like in the next 3 to 4 months, you're going to get a few more doors opening up, but it feels like it's through someone else that you know. So I feel like a male figure coming to you, a friend, and letting you know that there's an open opportunity. I feel you getting in that way, and that should be just enough to kind of cover the bills and keep you going. But this is an opportunity for you to expand. Okay. And do we have any more questions? Okay, we do. Let me see what else we have going on here. So I have another question, and this one says, what do you see regarding the man I've been seeing for the last 2 weeks? Okay, from a Cindy in Buffalo. Okay, see what's going on with him. Okay, what I'm feeling with this person is a little bit up and down, in personality, in character. I feel like sometimes even with work. And so it looks as though he has a way of not exactly finishing things. It feels to me like this would be the kind of person who started a degree and got halfway done. And it looks like I'm starting a job and I was motivated to get to the top, and now I'm really not motivated to go much further at all. And like, I may not even want this job anymore. I feel like he's very temporarily entertained by things in life. And I feel a little bit of a sense of fickle character. So it seems to me that what he may be very, very interested in, it does tend to kind of phase out very quickly. The thing with him is, I don't ever see it going away. So it's kind of like these things haunt him a little bit. So he would always have a sense of a lack of accomplishment. Like, I didn't finish this, I didn't finish that. I feel like I have to go back to it all the time. And it does seem like he has to. I don't think that on a regular basis he actually does that. So there's a lot of this lingering in his energy. As far as you and him are concerned, let me see what I'm getting with this. Okay. I do feel like I have him coming in, coming back around, trying to communicate with you. And it feels like the first attempt is not extremely, how do I want to say this? It's not very motivational for you. You're not going to feel much about it at all. You may prefer just to sort of ignore him. But I have him then backing off, and then I have him coming back a little bit more robust. Okay, so trying a little bit harder, being a little more excited about it, kind of like he was the first time he was really coming around. I think this is a pattern with him, and I think that if this is somebody that you plan on seeing on a more regular basis, you should either learn to go along with that pattern, or I would address it very quickly and be like, I'd like a little bit more consistency than what we're seeing here, or I really can't do this. But I think you need to be really upfront about it, because he does it with everything and he does it with everybody. Okay, all right, thank you so much for that question. I have another one here from a Dan, also in Buffalo. Are there any ghosts in the theater I'm in right now? Okay. You know what? Honestly, I feel almost like if I go back, like behind where the seating area would be, or the seating area was, I feel like if I'm going back behind, if I were facing the stage, I almost feel like I'm supposed to say behind you, but to the left, I do feel like there's a gentleman watching you from over there, and I don't know that anybody's actually set up in that back corner, but I certainly would have been. I also feel like if I'm going up to the front, and I'm looking more like at the stage type area, I would be going over to the right of that, and there are two spirits over there. Both feel female to me, but the one far more dominant than the other, and I feel like also kind of keeping an eye. They, however, are not as quiet. They're not as shy. So where I feel like there's a gentleman behind you who would be more observing you, I feel like there's more interaction coming from the two females up to the front and to the side. And it feels like one's a little bit older and one's a little bit younger. And I feel like playful. But I also feel like the one female is very protective over the place. Almost like she owned it or she ran it. And I'm seeing a bigger dress. And so I'm not sure exactly what time frame I'm looking in, but it almost reminds me of like a Victorian type of a dress. But it looks like it comes out quite a lot at the hips. And I'm also feeling like something was served there, because I almost felt like alcohol or food or something like that. And so I'm getting a little bit of a sense of community with this. So like people were together sharing that experience. And I do want to say that they're happy to have you there as long as you don't overstay your welcome. Okay? I feel like somebody stepped on something and they didn't appreciate, or shoes were put up on something. It's almost like a don't make anything dirty. Like you would never put your shoes on the back of a seat. You would never sit inappropriately. So I feel like I dot your I's and cross your T's and use your manners in this space. So, okay? Okay, thank you so much. Okay. I have one more question here from a Vic. Not sure where you're from. Will I ever feel my mother around me again? Will I ever feel my mother around me again? Let me see what I'm getting with this. Okay. So here's the thing. I do have two females around you quite a great deal. I do feel like one is mom. I also feel like one is grandma. So I may be looking at her mother. But I feel like that's really up to you, whether you're going to allow that or not. They're certainly around a great deal. I'm getting the impression that there's a heaviness and a sadness that goes on here with you, and it almost makes me feel, as your psychic, as your medium, it almost makes me feel like pulling away a little bit, because I'm not sure I could pick you back up. And so it sometimes the way that humans and spirits, okay, that are also human on the other side, sometimes the way that we read energy is a little bit reluctant to come in any closer if the job of maintaining the person or helping the person along is going to be a little too heavy for what we can carry. And so I think that what you may want to do is just kind of lighten up about it, and you may want to release anything that you feel heavy about, and I mean anything, whether it's regrets or you didn't say goodbye or you're not sure about something. In the relationship, I feel like it would be good for you to maybe light a candle and have a little bit of a meeting with your mother, and say to her, I'm releasing this and this and this, and I just want us to have a better line of communication open, and I'm ready for that. And I feel like upon doing that, you sort of elevate. Okay, here's the other thing about this. We have to raise our vibration as the human beings, and spirit often has to slow theirs down in order for there to be a connection. And the more you raise that up, the easier it will be. But I want to say both of these ladies love you dearly, and I do feel like you're having interaction at night, okay? But lately it also seems like one of the things she's mentioning with you is you're having trouble falling asleep. I almost feel like you're either taking pills in order to fall asleep, or it's just requiring a lot. It's taking like at least 3 to 4 hours for you to actually get into a good sleep pattern. And so that's part of the block, because once you're actually there, I do feel like they're there with you. Okay, but yeah, lighten it up and ask for more signs and symbols that she's around, and she's going to be more than happy to give that to you. I also feel like she's around a lot. I almost want to say it's like if your bedroom were near the back, there's like a hallway, and then there's a bathroom over to the right, and I feel like that's kind of her area, and I do feel like she's messing around with the lights and things in that area and checking, it almost feels like checking your closets. Okay, all right, thank you. I have another one from Cassandra. Should I continue? Okay, with the career that I'm in, or take the opportunity to change? Let me see what's going on with this. Okay. Well, I have a grandmother coming through from the other side who laughed and said, you know, you already have the answer. I actually feel like there was a little bit of an opportunity for you to change this up about 3 years back. And I'm kind of wondering what the holdup was. So I feel like this is an opportunity. I'm seeing you taking the bull by the horns and actually getting this done. It seems like you've been plotting this for quite a while, and it feels like the last year has been pretty intensely all about you figuring out this new, almost like an escape route. I don't feel as though, how do I want to say, like, the universe is going to be pushing you extremely hard, but I do feel like you're getting signs from spirit, from God, from the universe, whatever you believe in, that it is time to go. And I think that that's been a little ways, okay, a little while coming. So I feel like go ahead and launch it. It seems like if I'm looking at your life contract, meaning the things that you signed on to do before you came to Earth, it does feel like you chose certain gifts to equip yourself in what would look like interacting with others. So it feels like a strong line of communication coming from you, being able to tell people what to do, tell things where they need to go. It also looks like business smarts. So I don't necessarily feel like you being in the background for very long. It feels like once you're out, you're really out. And you're able to build this thing up rather quickly. Okay, so I want to say that launching this new career for yourself is really going to be the end of struggles and the way that you're used to having things with your job, where you're always sort of under the boot and you're waiting for something else. This is you taking hold, and there's a ton of prosperity there for you. Also a potential relocation that feels to me a little bit like out of state. Okay, so I would stay open to everything at this time. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for chiming in. We look forward to seeing you next time at Ask Medium. Thank you.